I belong to an AP listserv that's peopled by a lot of teachers who post about reading and writing and lesson plans and books. Every spring, around April or May, someone will pose the question, what are you reading this summer? What would you recommend? It was here in 2016 that I first read about the book, The Narrow Road to the Deep North. It's a book that was highly recommended by a teacher who said it was a book that she adored, that it was fine literature, and that it was a book she couldn't quit thinking about it. So I read it, and since then I've recommended it to students, Seth Medlin, Michael Weston among them, as well as several teachers and my very own best book club ever. The novel takes place in Tasmania, Australia, and in the Eastern Theatre of World War II. It's the story of the handsome, brave, strong, and stoic Dorigo Evans, who falls in love with Amy, the young wife of his uncle. The book opens with a memory of Dorigo's. Why at the beginning of things is there always light? Dorigo Evans's earliest memories were of sun flooding a church hall in which he sat with his mother and grandmother, a wooden church hall, blinding light, and him toddling back and forth in and out of its translucent welcome into the arms of women, women who loved him, like entering the sea and returning to the beach, over and over. Bless you, his mother says, as she holds him and lets him go. Bless you, boy. Dorigo leaves for combat with the Australian army and is soon captured in Burma and enslaved in a Japanese POW camp. The prisoners of war are subjected to harsh and inhuman treatment by their Japanese captors. Dorigo and his fellow prisoners form tenuous bonds of brotherhood under extreme conditions as they work on the creation of the Thai-Burma Railway, also known as the Death Railway. The content is explicit and violent at times. The prisoners in the camp are freed by soldiers from the U.S. Navy, and Dorigo returns to Tasmania, where he tries to reintegrate into society. He tries to keep up his appearances as a celebrated war hero while he battles with guilt and memory. The story is pieced together by scenes that flash between his youth, his captivity, and his return to Tasmania. The book weaves the past and the present together in short episodes to create a beautiful, raw, poetic, and compelling story of a man's life as he struggles with memory, freedom, captivity, obligation, and disappointment. This book was my first encounter with a contemporary Australian writer. It was also my first encounter with Japanese poetry. In the first 30 pages of the book, the narrator tells of Dorigo reading a book in which he finds the story of a death poem written by 18th century Japanese poet Shishui. Browsing the book earlier in the day, Dorigo Evans had been taken by one poem. On his deathbed, the 18th century poet Shishui had finally responded to requests for a death poem by grabbing his brush, painting his poem, and dying. On the paper, Shishui's shocked followers saw he had painted a circle. Shishui's poem rolled through Dorigo Evans's subconscious, a contained void, an endless mystery, lengthless breath, the great wheel, eternal return, the circle, antithesis of the line, the oval, left in the mouth of the dead to pay the ferryman. This incomplete circle, also known as the Enso, has become a symbol in Zen Buddhism, suggesting the circle of the universe, or the void. This book contains the universe of the mind of Dorigo Evans, as well as the empty void of his love and suffering. Narrow Road to the Deep North by Richard Flanagan.